Thank you for taking part in this. Always a pleasure to see you here at the London Coffee Festival. A lot of people obviously know Rosslyn, but maybe for those who don't, perhaps you can give them a little bit of background on what Rosslyn is, how you guys got started, and how you got to where you are today, and what your current challenges are.
Yeah. We are a collection of, we're now 9 sites, soon to be 10 sites, high volume specialty coffee shops serving the square mile, the City of London, the financial district. We launched in 2018. This is myself and a friend of mine, Matt Russell. We met at Caravan Coffee Roasters, launched our first site, and which was always hard. Like, anybody who's set up any form of business knows how challenging it can be, like physically and mentally and emotionally, the whole thing. But it started gaining traction within 6 months. And within the 12 months, it had become certainly one of the busiest specialty coffee shops in London. Within 18 months, one of the busiest in Europe. And it's kind of everything has gone on from there. So we've grown independently and organically without any outside investment. It's something we're very proud of. So site 1 paid for site 2 and site 3. Those 3 sites have paid for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And we've got number 10 coming in a few months. We bring together, who we believe to be the leaders across various fields and represent the work together under one roof. So the likes of Lamazocco, the Estate Dairy, more chocolate, we believe they're the best of the best. And it's something that, it's very enjoyable. It's based upon, so Matt is from Australia, and I'm from, you may have picked up from the accent, I'm from Ireland. And it's a coming together of the hospitality styles of both of those countries. So if you think all the attention to detail and high standards of the Great Australian Cafe, and combine that with the warmth and hospitality of an Irish pub, which I grew up working in, and my father's pubs in Ireland, that's what Rosslyn is. Yeah, it's so far so good.
That definitely comes across when you're in one of your shops. By way of background, my name is Max. I'm one of the co-founders of Redemption Roasters. I took part in the last Founders Days On podcast where I was asked most of the questions. Okay. And so today I'll be asking you most of the questions. But feel free to turn the microphone back on me if there's something that you're keen on. Obviously, we catch up privately a lot. And so it's been remarkable to see the growth of Rosslyn. I think one thing that really stands out about the brand is the attention to detail and the perfection you put into every cup. And one thing that I ask you regularly, but I definitely want to ask you with this audience is, how do you scale that? How do you manage to have the attention to detail, but you can't be in 9 shops, 10 shops at the same time?
Yeah. It's a challenge. It's a huge challenge because we're trying to scale. What we sell is hospitality, and trying to scale hospitality is incredibly challenging because, if you scale a product, you put that product across multiple sites, that product is the product, right? But if your product is hospitality and service, that's more of a mindset, and it makes it incredibly important to bring the right people into the business. So instead of trying to train people to have your values, you bring people in who have your values as a business. And that's the crux of it. Like, we've got our induction program is quite, we've spent a lot of time on it, and we do have our service standards. There's various things across the business that we implement, but it's more of a mindset. We bring in people who match our values, and a lot of that is around like taking pride in the detail, being generally optimistic, having empathy with your teammates and your guests. We also lean heavily into continuous improvements, that sort of Kaizen mindset. And what we found as well is that, like, one of the things that I really like about our business is the friendships that are forged amongst the team, like current team members, but also ex-team members. And it's because we bring in like-minded people. It's also one of the great things about having a business is that, like, I only want to work with people that I like. And that's a full stop, So it's like when we're looking to bring people into the business, if you can make coffee, great. But we can also teach you how to do that. We're more interested in bringing people who match our values, if that makes sense. But to turn it back on you, Redemption has incredible standards, of course, across the board. Whenever I go to your sites, be it on Conduit Street or in Hampstead, there's phenomenal standards, and you've got a wider range than us because you do a lot more food than we would and whatnot. How do you do it?
Yeah, I think good people are at the core of it. Absolutely. And good staff retention is really important as well. We meticulously measure our staff retention and if that number is going down, we know that something is wrong. I think first of all, in terms of hiring, and I'm interested in your process actually, you clearly seem to be getting it right. We use a management methodology called Manager Tools. Anyone can just Google it. They're about a million free podcasts on people management, but also hiring is a big part of that. And it's not traditionally adopted across hospitality. I think it's probably more traditionally adopted in big tech companies, or Amazon uses it. I mean, the White House uses it. It's quite American. It's quite didactical. But there's a certain form in which you write a job description, which you do screening calls, how you screen CVs, how you interview, and how in the end you come to a higher decision or not. And that's been really helpful. I think it's helped us scale beyond. I think we adapted it when we were like 20 people or something, and the management methodology behind it. I'm not saying Manager Tools is for everyone. I think it's just important that you have one methodology that you stick to as you grow. And that's just been really good for us. And so, yeah, I'm interested in your process for hiring. How do you guys hire?
Well, I mean, to be honest, we have a hiring manager now, Carl, does a phenomenal job, and I'm a little bit more removed from it, well, a lot more removed from it than I was, because like when we launched, there's myself and Matt on the bar every hour of every day, and we brought all the team members in. And what we did initially, one of the best tools that we've had, it's not as maybe as structured as what you've just spoken about there, but we got it from a book that I always recommend to anybody opening a cafe. They read this book. It's What I Know About Opening Coffee Shops by Colin Harmon, the 3FE in Dublin. And he talked about this questionnaire, and we implement this questionnaire. So I think it's like 28 questions. And the first question is like, I mean, do you are you legally allowed to do this job? Like, do you have a visa? There's all these sorts of things. But then it's like, can you tell the difference between a natural process and a wash process? It's not that big of a deal whether you can or not. There's like, can you tell us about a hospitality experience that impressed you? What's your favorite cafe? If you don't have a favorite, it's not the end of the world. But if you don't have a favorite cafe, if you're not passionate about hospitality, you're probably not going to get what we're trying to do here. But none of these questions are make or break. They give us an idea of the person, but the most useful tool is it's a 28 question questionnaire. And we used to get like maybe 30% of them back, which meant we immediately cut out 70% of the people who just don't care. Because they'll look at it and they'll be like, I'm not filling that out.
Yeah.
Perfect. Don't fill it. If you're not that into it, we're not the place for you. Because Rosslyn is hard. It's like our sites are busy, and you have to take pride in what you do, because, we pay really well. We've always worked with the Living Wage Foundation, and they champion us as like one of their flagship sites in hospitality. And we're very proud of that. You can get paid a little bit less and work in a much more chilled environment somewhere else. So you have to be really into it to work at Rosslyn. So that's been really good at Leaf, help you to filter through that. But we do, like, there's a whole hiring process around, like, obviously is a trial shift, and we don't make the decision, the shop makes the decision, which is, I think we got that perhaps, I think Cret do that quite successfully, or you sort of used to do that quite successfully, that their teams decide who joins the team, which is hugely important, and they need to be fully invested in it. But yeah, I mean, our hiring team have been doing a phenomenal job, and there's a bunch of people in our business who I really like. Like when we open a site, when it breaks 1,000 coffees in a day for the first day or the first time, we take the whole company out for a meal. Just sort of something that we've always done and we've maintained to this day. It's getting harder and harder because our teams are growing. But the last time I was like looking around the room, I was like, this is just a bunch of really, really nice people. So they're doing a great job. But yeah, it's challenging, and we don't always get it right. And I think one of the biggest things was over in the US a couple of years ago at the SCA in Chicago, this coffee event. And the American specialty industry is a lot more established, a lot more long in the tooth than here. And there's companies out there that have been like the likes of Blue Bottle, even the Go Get 'em Tiger, Verve, Heart. They've been in the game a lot longer than we have, Stumptown. And I just went around the room and I was asking them, like, we're about to go through this growth spurt at Rosslyn. What's the biggest thing? Like, what's our biggest thing to watch out for. And they always said culture, like it's culture as you grow is the biggest challenge. But and part of that is like, you know, if you make the wrong hire, which happens, or if there's somebody in your business that's A, not right for your business, or B, doesn't want to be in your business, then for everyone's sake, most of all theirs, they need to be out of the business as quickly as possible. And like, you know, we've had people, I met one of them downstairs. I love him to bits, but he wasn't right in Rosslyn, and he's joined another company and he has excelled and he's doing so well. So it's incredibly important to get the right people into your business. And when invariably, you know, a mistake happens, but it's hugely important to react to that. Everybody's benefits. It's for their benefit. It's for your benefit. It's for the guests' benefit. Heck, you know, we've all been served by people who clearly don't want to be in their job.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point you're making. And then what I'd like to add to that is one needs to let go of that naivety and that dream which you maybe have when you open your very first site, or you hire your first person, you think that person's going to be with me for the next 10 years, that they'll eventually become the CEO of the company. That is so unlikely. I think it's more likely you're going to win the lottery, right? So ultimately, it's about hiring the right person for the right role and looking for reasons to say no, ultimately. But then there's a right time and a place. I was certainly cross that we'd hired people and they were great and they excelled in the role, company excelled with them. But then maybe a year later or 2 years later, the person has changed, the company has changed, the environment has changed.
Yeah.
It may not be the right match anymore. And that's when it gets into an awkward situation where you hit to part ways. But that is also really important.
Yeah, well, I've experienced that for sure. But especially over the last year or so, I've also experienced the other side where there have been people in the business that I've been a bit unsure. I'm not sure this person's got the capacity to do what we need to do. And they've stepped up to the mark. Like, you know, like don't underestimate someone's ability to grow and to develop, you know, because also in our industry, we're full of very young people, like, you know, in their early 20s or whatnot. And that is an area of massive growth and development. And we've got people in our business today that like a couple of years ago, I was like, I'm not sure that this person's got it. And now they're some of our strongest people, which is, it's so great to see. And it gives you faith in other people who are in your business that, you know, I think we're getting better and better at training and developing people. I think it's very easy. If someone's not right, it's very easy. Oh, you're not right. See you later. But there's also great benefit to, and we've had people in our business for years. Another thing is like, sometimes you hear businesses talk about describing themselves as a family. And I know that some businesses in here describe themselves as a family and we don't. We visited Cat and Clouds a couple of years ago over in California. And one of their guys said, he said, yeah, we're not a family. Like we're a team because your family, it's like, you know, they can do things. You can kind of forgive them. They're still your family. But it's like, and you know, but if you're in a team, like there's love and there's affection and, you know, there's camaraderie and there's teamwork. But if you don't contribute to the team, if you're not performing,
It's not unconditional.
you're not, yeah, that's the word. It's not unconditional. And you're not, you know, but like, and people can go through peaks and troughs in form and all that, like football. But yeah, so we very much see ourselves as a team. But yeah, seeing people grow and develop, which we have seen in Rosslyn, and we've got some seriously talented people. And it's great to see them grow and big.
Moving to a slightly different topic, and people obviously being the most important thing in hospitality, I'm interested in your product mix. We probably have a similarity that we sell one product out of all the millions of SKUs. Very dominantly, I think 55% of our sales are the flat white. I'm sure for you guys, it's probably even higher in that figure. But how do you think about ancillary products? I see this more and more. I've seen it all throughout this as a wholesale supplier. When we speak to cafes who are about to set up, and they say, "Oh, I also want to do cutting of hair, and we will sell sandwiches, and we'll sell cocktails in the evening." And you guys have been amazing throughout at just focusing with a laser sharp focus on a product. And how do you think about food? How do you think about ancillary products, brownies, chocolates, that kind of stuff?
It's interesting. It's like, I used to always love watching like the first couple of series of Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares. And like, but it was the same. Every episode was the same, right? He'd walk in, they give him like a Bible, and there's like Mexican food, Chinese food, all these different cuisines. And then he'd like throw it out, and then the next day they come back and there's like 2 starters, 3 mains, 2 desserts, whatever. And like the smaller the menu, he would always say that the smaller the menu, the better it is. And that leans forward into on my way down to. I lived in Australia for a bit. I learned how to make coffee on Rosslyn Street in Melbourne, which is where the name comes from. But I traveled down through Southeast Asia and going through the likes of Hanoi and Saigon and a lot of places around that part of Southeast Asia, they sell one thing. So like whether it's pho or banh mi or whatever, and you just go in, you order 2 or 3 or 1 or whatever, and if they just do one thing and they do it well, and we've kind of had that mindset with Roslyn, is like stick to one thing and smash it out of the park. Like we did think about like doing toasties and porridges and stuff, and we don't even do that because Matt was like, I don't want one of our regulars waiting an extra few minutes for their Americano because somebody up the front decides I want blueberries instead of almonds on my corals or whatever. Like so. But I guess that works in the environment that we're in, and in the city of London, where we're selling a product that people kind of need as people to do their job, and there's towers and towers of these people surrounding our shops. But I think the interesting thing today, sorry if I'm going off topic a little bit, but the interesting thing for me is you see there's a number of operators that have established themselves over the last couple of years. They developed a menu with matcha, blueberry matcha, various, and been very successful off it. And you see other high street chains, some trying to copy that and emulate that. And you kind of look at it like our sales are better than ever, but our afternoon sales, we're like, well, could they be better if we diversify our menu a little bit in the afternoons? I mean, have you considered diversifying your menu, or do you do all these?
Heavily promote seasonal drinks, and now matcha makes up a significant proportion of our sales. And our seasonal drinks do too. I think our seasonal drinks are now up to almost 10%, and that's full specials, and 2 of them are usually matcha. So, yeah, absolutely. And have you seen in the afternoons? Have you seen an uptick?
Yeah, but like we don't like if you look at like the furthest end of the scale is a place called Dayglow in the US. And I went into their place actually in Chicago when I was at that SCA, and they have this incredible list of like 12 effectively cocktails. Like, it's a nightmare for the barista because I saw the barista, the workflow is just, it's challenging. And perhaps it works well for them and good on. Same with their place in Brooklyn. I got this phenomenal drink with some blood orange. I don't know what it was, but it was delicious. We would love to do that, but it's like the workflow is the challenge. Yeah, it's interesting. And also, at the start, one of the first things we used to say about rosin is like not concerned with trends, only what tastes good. So we don't want to do something because it's trend orientated, because we don't want to be on trends. I spoke about Cat and Cloud a couple of minutes ago. One of their guys, Chris Baca, he has this great podcast on like not being on trend, but being on brand. And if you're on trend, then you're going to eventually go off trend, right? But on brand for us is just hospitality. Like, it's like we do delicious product to a very high standard. We do it at pace, and we do it with good hospitality. Like that trifecta, if we just stick to that, like that is our brand. And I would be a little bit worried about diversifying. If we were to do any of these signature drinks or whatnot, it would need to be in line with what Rosslyn is. I certainly wouldn't seek to emulate anybody else on the high street. What about you?
Yeah, that makes sense. And I do still remember in our earlier days, I think you just opened your 3rd shop, maybe 4th, and you served me some soft serve, and it was delicious. And I think you did a soft serve affogato for me. And at that point, I still thought James is probably part of the having literally started behind the bar. He's probably way too snooty for something like that. and you surprised me, and I think with that you surprise your customers as well. But that's great. And I think it taught me also about not being on your high horse as a specialty coffee company, but just listen to your customers and thinking, I'm going to serve something that is delicious and that you think is delicious.
Yeah.
And not about sort of, because I think in the old days, specialty coffee had a bad rep in London because you had these snooty baristas who would tell their customers off for ordering a syrup or ordering something that they like. And ultimately, we're not here to dominate our customer behavior. We're here to serve them in the best way we can.
100%. Like, there's one of the guys from Go Get 'Em Tiger in LA. I was having a coffee with him. He was say this line, like we meet our guests where they're at. If you want a latte with 6 sugars, no problem. If you want like co-ferments, whatever, no problem. We can do that. Like, and it's really important. Also, you're right. Like, it's that, again, that trip from California was very interesting a few years ago that we did. And they were great at having fun with it. Like, we went into this place in San Francisco, I forget the name of it, but they had a drink called the Pancake Party. And it was just sugar. Like, it was sugar, coffee, and cream. And it was delicious. We're not afraid of that. Like, the soft serve is a great example. But the soft serve, I think it fits in with what Rosslyn is. Like, we do it with happy endings, the estate dairy and malt chocolate. It's quality focus and it's delicious. Yeah. And it's efficient, So anything that we do with the cedar drink would need to fall in line with that. Yeah, the workflow is the challenge. But then, equipment and technology is developing all the time, which allows you to better achieve that. But, yeah.
And food, pastries.
Well, we buy in all of our pastries. Like, it's challenging. Like, pastries is incredibly challenging because it's getting increasingly expensive to produce everything, right? And in order for, like, I've got a friend who operates one of the best, arguably the best bakery in London. And I was like, can I buy our pastries from you? And he's like, no, because what I would need to sell them to you in order for you to sell them to your guests at a price that they're willing to pay and you to make a margin, it's just not worth my while. Yeah. It's really challenging because people aren't willing to pay £9-10 for a croissant. They're just not. So
enough. Yeah, that's a show.
The alternative is to do our own bakery, which there's a romantic, like my heart says yes and my head is like absolutely not. Right? Yeah. So it's really challenging. We work with some really great bakers. We work with Populations, who are phenomenal. We've worked with Bread for a long time. We've worked with a number of different, and we're trialing different people all the time. I think the solution in London is to probably source from a couple of different people. And that's the same globally. I was talking to a roaster over in Berlin, where they've got great baking, right? And they were saying, yeah, we supply from 3 different suppliers. And I've spoken to people in Copenhagen who are the same. And I was like, it's a challenge the world over. I do have a pipe dream of having a little bakery that supplies our sites. But
you won't make any money from it, that's for sure.
No, but it's not about, like, I know you say that, like, sort of jokingly, but like, it's not about making money for us. Genuinely, like, we are not a charity. Like, it's a commercial entity, and living in London is expensive. But like, the reason why we set up Rosslyn is because I wanted to open up the kind of coffee shops that I would want to go to, and I wanted to do that in London. Like, I'm not from London, but I do consider myself a Londoner. And I love London. London just energizes me. A lot of people don't like it. Some people don't like it. And I get that, but I love it. And I wanted to do something that would contribute to it. And I know that if I can contribute to the different areas of London that we open in, then people will come back and they will drink coffee. And if they drink coffee, then we'll have a commercial business. And if we have a commercially successful business, then, I'm financially stable. But that's
and you can grow and you can take that to more neighborhoods.
And that's a byproduct. It will be the same with the bakery. I wouldn't be doing it to make money, but I know at the end of what we're doing that there's commercial opportunity. Yeah, it's challenging in baking, right?
Yeah. And I think throughout I've done 14 years in this business. We've seen quite a lot of people start their own bakery at being a coffee shop first and foremost, and then close it again. And centralized kitchen, it's the same thing, right? I think it needs to be very carefully considered. And same for us. I think when we had 8-9 stores, we thought about opening a bakery and we ran the models and we looked at sites and pricing and just decided it's not worth it. So we are continuing to just buy from six bakers that we buy from.
How many sites are you at now?
11.
11. Nice.
We're running out of time to wrap it up, but it's been a real pleasure as always. Nothing with you, and thank you very much. Thanks, James. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the London Coffee Festival's Founder Stays On podcast. We hope you enjoyed hearing these incredible stories from the people shaping the future of specialty coffee. Don't forget to subscribe, share this episode, and follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn for more behind the scenes content. See you on the next one.